Hello everyone, myself Pradeep Paul. I am from Sri Venkateswara College of Engineering, Bangalore. I am here to present a topic on operating system for Mac OS X. Contents: Operating system, Mac OS X, evaluation of Mac OS X, features of Mac OS, architecture of Mac OS, overview of Mac OS related products, conclusion. Operating system. An operating system is a program that, after being initially loaded into the computer by a boot program, manages all of the other application program in a computer. The application program make use of the operating system by making requests to service through a defined application program interface. In addition, user can interact directly with the operating system through a user interface such as a command line interface or a graphical user interface. The next slide is example of operating system such as Windows, Linux, Mac OS, FreeBSD, Solaris, Red Hat and Sun Collabed. Moving on to the next slide. Mac OS X. Mac OS, previously OS X and originally Mac OS X, is a unique operating system developed and marketed by Apple company since 2001. It is a primary operating system for Apple's Mac computer. Within the market of desktop and laptop computers, it is the second most widely used desktop OS, after Microsoft Windows and head of Linux, including Chrome OS. Mac OS X version 10.0, code-named Cheetah, is the first major release of Mac OS X, Apple's desktop and server operating system. It was released on March 24, 2001 for a price of $129 after a public beta. Evaluation of Mac OS X. Mac OS X was first released in 1999 as Mac OS X Server version 1.0. It was built using the technologies Apple required from NEXT, but did not include the signature Aqua user interface. The desktop version aimed at regular users, Mac OS X version 10.0, shipped in March 2001. Several more distinct desktop and server editions of macOS has been released, starting with macOS X version 10.7 Lion. macOS Server is no longer offered as a standalone operating system. Instead, server management tools are available for purchase as an add-on. This macOS Server app has been discontinued since April 2022 and will no longer work on macOS version past macOS 12 Monterey. Starting with the Intel build of Mac OS X version 10.5 Leopard, most releases have been certified as Unix system conforming to the single Unix specification. Features of Mac OS X. The legacy Mac OS was losing its competitive edge and lacked a number of demand features offered by Windows. Mac OS X was expected to be a major operating system evaluation. In addition to major aesthetic upgrades like the Aqua user interface and the dock, Apple also used Mac OS X to introduce a number of native applications such as Mail, Address Book, and Text Edit. Subsequent releases have largely maintained the original look and feel of the Mac OS X. Cheetah, with small refinements to streamline the user experience. New features have also become standard since the first OS X launch, including Safari, Spotlight, Quick Look, multi-touch gestures, and iCloud. One relatively major change had nothing to do with the technology itself being with OS X. Mavericks in 2013. Apple released update to its operating system free of charge for Mac users. This is distinct shift from the $130 price tag associated with the original OS X launch and its subsequent update, a change that CEO Tim Cook reportedly said more closely aligned with the goals of Apple as a company. Architecture of Mac OS X. Mac OS X is built on Darwin, a Unix-like operating system derived from FreeBSD. Darwin includes a new kernel, XNU, derived from BSD, as a replacement for macOS Nano kernel used in classic macOS. Unlike macOS 9, macOS X has protected memory and primitive multitasking. This means that if an application memory becomes corrupted due to a bug, the application will crash without the entire system crashing and needing to be rebooted. Mac OS X also add a support for OpenGL, AppleScript, and Carbon and APIs. Now let us see overview of Mac OS X, Unix-based operating system with the intuitive user interface called Aqua. There are four types of major success of Mac OS X: primitive multitasking, symmetric multiprocessing, memory protection, virtual memory. First one, primitive multitasking. Primitive multitasking involves the uses of an interrupt mechanism which suspends the currently executing process and invokes a scheduler to determine which process should execute next. Therefore, all processes will get some amount of CPU time at any given time. Second type, semantic multiprocessing. Semantic multiprocessing is a computer processing done by multiple processors that shares a common operating system and memory. In semantic multiprocessing, the processor shares the same input-output bus or data path. A single copy of the OS is in charge of all of the processor. Third type is memory protection. Memory protection is a hardware mechanism that separates different parts of memory and ensures that each process can only access its own memory space. This prevents one process from accessing or modifying the memory of another processes, thereby protecting the system from malware and other molecules attack. And the fourth type is virtual memory. Virtual memory is a common technique used in a computer's operating system. Virtual memory uses both hardware and software to enable a computer to compensate for physical memory shortages, temporarily transferring data from random access memory to disk storage. Now, let us see about Mac OS X related products. First one, Mac OS X. This is a version of most Macintosh owners should use. It is a consumer operating system designed for use on your personal computer. For more information, see Apple Mac OS X page and developer page for Mac OS X. Second one, Mac OS X Server. This is Apple server operating system. It is similar to consumer release of Mac OS X, but also includes a suite of network services such as Sprint Server, file sharing, QuickTime, streaming, Netboot, and advanced web hosting. Next one, iOS. Based on Mac OS X, version of iOS run on the iPhone, the iPad Touch, and the iPod. The iOS was designed for a handheld device, and it is much more tightly controlled than other versions of Mac OS X. Despite their shared origins, applications such as apps developed for iOS are not compatible with Mac OS X and vice versa. Fourth one, Darwin. Darwin is a unique like foundation upon which Mac OS X is based. It is code open source and it is available as a standard-alone operating system. Although Darwin will run many Unix applications, including the next Windows system, it does not have the Mac OS X interface and thus will not run Mac OS X application. Now let's conclude. Apple Mac OS is a very stable and refined operating system. Apple OS X on Unix and has had years of refinement. It has several security features that prevent unwanted application for exploiting any of its weakness. Currently, OS X has less than 10% of the market share of computer. Apple released the first version of its Mac OS X operating system, noteworthy for this Unix architecture. OS X has been known over the years for its simplicity, aesthetic interface, advanced technologies, application security, and accessibility options. Thank you for watching my video. Please like, share, and subscribe.